For this video lesson, you are going to learn how to solve inequalities. So first, an inequality you're just going to treat just like it's an equal sign. It's going to have two sides, a left and a right side. And instead of having an equal sign, we're just going to have one of the four inequality symbols, which is less than or equal to, greater than, or greater than or equal to. To solve an inequality, first of all, you're going to follow the same exact rules that we've learned when we were solving equations. There will be one extra rule with inequalities. Make sure when you're solving equations or inequalities that you are undoing order of operations. And then remember, whatever you do to one side, that you do to the other side, and that your ultimate goal is to get the variable by itself. So we're going to look at our first example. So we're going to take w plus 5 is less than 8 and solve for w. So just like an equation, if this was an equal sign, we were trying to get w by itself, we would cancel plus 5 by subtracting 5. And again, what we do to one side of our inequality, we do to the other. For some of you, what you may want to do is just like when we drew lines down the equal sign, you may want to draw a line down your inequality sign. So, and then order is really important when you're solving inequalities. So we're going to bring our w down, bring your inequality symbol straight down, and then 8 minus 5 is 3. And now that you've solved, w is less than 3, so we're looking for any number less than 3. Then we could graph this on the number line like we've been doing in class. We would have an open circle at 3, and then we would be shading to the left. Example 2. Eight plus r is greater than or equal to negative 2. So again, you may want to draw a line down your inequality sign. What we do to one side, you do to the other. We're going to cancel 8 by subtracting 8. And then order is important. Bring everything straight down. So bring your r straight down, your inequality symbol, and then negative 2 minus 8 is negative 10. So r is greater than or equal to negative 10. We were going to graph this on the number line. We would have a closed circle at negative 10, and we would be shading to the right. Example number 3. 2x is greater than negative 2. To get x by itself, this is multiplication. We should cancel our multiplication with division. And then bring everything down. X is greater than negative 1. We would have an open circle at negative 1, and we would be shading to the right. Example 4, 2h plus 8 is less than or equal to 24. So we're going to treat this, it's a two-step equation. We're going to treat it just like we were solving an equation. So the first thing that we're going to do to get the variable by itself is we are going to subtract 8 from both sides. Again, make sure you're keeping track of your order. I have 2h is less than or equal to 16, and now we can divide both sides by 2 and get that h is less than or equal to 8. So for inequalities, this needs to be your entire answer. And then to graph, we would have a closed circle at 8, and we would be shading to the left. Okay, so this is the one new rule with inequalities. When you multiply or divide each side of an inequality by a negative number, you must reverse the inequality symbol to maintain a true statement. So let's look at a couple of examples. So negative x is less than 4. So first of all, everyone should realize that this is a negative 1x, and what we're going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 1. You could divide both sides by negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 1 is going to give me an x, and then negative 4 times negative 1 will give me a negative 4. The inequality was open towards the 4, and when I multiplied both sides to maintain a true statement, I need to change the direction of the inequality symbol for my final answer. Let's look at another example. Negative 2x is less than or equal to 6. So to solve for x, we're going to divide both sides by negative 2. When I do that, I'm going to get, that should be a negative 3. And I change because the number I'm dividing by is a negative, I'm going to change the direction of the inequality symbol. Okay, so I'm going to give you two inequalities. We're going to solve two inequalities on this slide. So the first one is 2x minus 3 is less than negative 8. So to solve this first, we should add 3 to both sides. When we do that, we're going to get 2x is less than, and that's going to give us a negative 5. Negative 8 plus 3 is negative 5. And now I'm going to finally divide by negative 2. So this time, if you look at my signs, I am not changing the direction of my sign. The number I divided by was a negative 2, and so I leave the inequality symbol alone. Okay, negative 3x plus 7 is less than or equal to 13. We should subtract 7 from both sides. When I do that, I'm going to get negative 3x is less than or equal to 13 minus 7 is 6. And then I'm going to divide both sides by negative 3. When I do that, because I'm dividing both of these by a negative value, I'm going to change the direction of the inequality symbol. So my final answer should be x is greater than or equal to negative 2. Let's solve one more. This time we're solving an inequality that has variables on both sides. So we have 7x and 10x. We can move either one of these. When you're solving inequalities, I would be careful and try to make sure that you're moving a variable where you end up with a positive variable. So I'm going to subtract 7x this time. When I do that, I get 9 is greater than or equal to. When I subtract 7x from this, I'm going to get 3x, and then I still have the minus 12. Now I have one variable, and I can start solving. So I can add 12 to both sides and get 21, and then divide by 3. So my answer looks like this, where I have x is written last. If it's a multiple choice question, or if it's an answer that I'm writing in class, we may change that. So I may have x is less than or equal to 7. You need to realize that both of these answers are the same thing, and both of them they're saying x is smaller than 7. So the quick way to check is to check that your answer has a 7, and then check what your symbol looks like. This is pointing towards the x, or you can think it's open towards a 7. Same thing, this is pointing towards the x, or it's open towards a 7. So those would have the same value. I hope you learned something new, and I look forward to seeing you in class.